I'm going to bring Luke Atherton in from VisualSoft. Luke is the performance marketing director over there, and he's going to be talking through today with us the tactics to win discovery and drive conversions in an AI-first retail landscape. So really looking forward to this one as well. VisualSoft is another agency that we work quite closely with. So can't wait to hear from you, Luke. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so quite a complex topic, I guess, to go through today, which is the ever-changing landscape of, search, but not necessarily just Google, but all search for all customers. I think as well, if anyone was looking at the digital news yesterday, there was a big announcement from Shopify and their partnership with OpenAI, essentially now confirming that products from across all Shopify sites will be available within ChatGPT and other OpenAI products going forward, which of course is an absolutely massive announcement from two of the leading companies in the space. But it leads actually quite nicely into what I wanted to chat about today, which was how do we navigate this new world where the customer never clicks through to your website, where increasingly no-click searches are becoming the normal, and with the advent of partnerships like Shopify and OpenAI, what does that mean for us going forward? And I guess the million-dollar question: how do you get your products into those AI results, whether it's an AI overview on Google, whether it's a customer chatting with Perplexity or Claude or any of the other LLMs that are available out there. So hopefully we're going to kind of debunk a little bit of that and go through and just chat about how it all fits together. If anyone does have any questions, please just ping them in as we go as well. But I think the key thing for me is, and something that we talk to our clients about a lot, is just understanding that how customers discover answers to their search has fundamentally changed. Gone are the days necessarily of the customer going on to Google, putting in best X product of 2025 and clicking through the top 10 or 12 blue links that we've got so used to on Google, and essentially now getting the answer immediately straight into the SERP result. And it fundamentally scares and changes the entire landscape of how customers are finding answers to their searches, how they're finding products during Black Friday, how do they discover the best promotions for the businesses that they're interested in, the brands, and ultimately a lot of SEO experts in the space, but also paid media experts, kind of scrambling to understand how do we capitalize on this new world that's coming up. There are some really interesting stats out there. I included the citations for this one, but you'll find similar statistics with a Google search. It is massively shifting in favor of no click. So at the moment, we're seeing around 60% of all Google searches don't produce a click to a website in the way that they used to. Ultimately, this is a little bit skewed on the informational searches. So if the customer is searching for a brand, it's actually a little bit lower and there is more of a click. If it's more of an informational search, then we see sometimes greatly inflated numbers even beyond this 60%, but it's averaging out at around 60%, which is not a small number. A lot of the clients that we work with for many years, the focus for Black Friday and indeed the rest of the year has been, how do I get the customer to click my link in Google? Ultimately, that drives the organic traffic and so on and so forth. And now it's shifting more towards what needs to happen in a world whereby the customer never leaves the search page. Now that you can go on to ChatGPT, you can ask for a product recommendation. You can then ask where the best price is over this Black Friday period, and you can actually buy it there and then. Now within certain apps like ChatGPT, that's going to change the landscape significantly. What it also means is that customers of ours in particular are looking at where they spend their ad costs. So over the course of Q4, if we're looking at, say, November as an example with Black Friday and Cyber Monday, I think we all know that the more that you spend within that period, the diminishing returns get greater and greater. There are so much more competition in that space. but ultimately we're going to see a shift in that over certainly this Q4, but as we get more into future years, this, I guess, shift within the landscape away from even the paid for ad results in Google being second to these organic but AI driven search results that customers are becoming more and more acquainted with. Ultimately, I guess, just to clarify what we mean by a no-click search, an example on the screen there, a customer searches for when is the last standard day for delivery before Christmas. Usually, if they then tag on a brand, it'll find the brand's website. Hopefully you rank quite highly. Customer comes through to the website and has a look around to get the answer to the question. The way that this now works is you'll just get the answer straight away there and then in the Google search result or any of the other search engines that are available out there. And that really does shift the landscape for everybody who's in the retail space. How do we capture this user's attention when Google's giving them the answer? It will even recommend the products to the customer there and then. And this is going to shift even more as obviously Google and the other big AI companies invest more and more into this. I don't think it's going to be a temporary change. Google is obviously committing massively. We've got AI mode now rolled out on Google search. A lot of people still aren't using AI mode, but it will eventually become the standard. But Google AI overviews, I'm sure everybody in the audience will have maybe started off with a little bit of trepidation around, do I trust the answers that this AI overview is giving me? And actually, as time's gone on this year, we see that people are trusting those results more and more. They're engaging with that AI overview more than ever before. And even for me personally, I find that it does give me the answer to most of the questions that I ask on Google. And I'm certainly clicking through even less to other businesses that are available on there. It changes the goal for companies like us, whether you're an agency or whether you're a retailer or otherwise. It's how do I make sure that it's citing me in those AI overviews? How do I get my business featured in there? So hopefully I'll be able to give you some pointers for how to do that. The first thing is to change your mindset around trying to drive the click to your website, which has been the goal for, well, since the dawn of the internet, I guess, essentially, and the advent of Google. It's now more about treating that AI overview like it's a mini website. You want your content featured in there. You want your brand mentioned. You want your products displayed. But ultimately, we're now trying to optimize not for SEO on the website, but we're trying to optimize for making sure that the AI can find your products. And over Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it's making sure that the AI can find your offers and promotions so that when customers are searching for those relevant phrases and keywords, that the AI is going to be able to ingest the data from your website and show your business in those results. The AI overview is almost certainly the most disruptive thing that has happened on Google in a long time. If anyone in the audience is regularly reviewing their performance data, I'm almost certain you will have seen some dips in things like clicks and direct traffic and so on and so forth. And it's all driven from this concept that the overview is now providing the customer with all of the answers that they might want. So an example here of just quickly searching for a travel adapter there and being essentially guided by the AI towards Tech Advisor, Amazon, or it could be your store in there. But you'll see that the actual overview itself is giving the customer a lot more information than what they would get in a standard Google search, whereby they would scroll down, have a look for what they recognize, hopefully recognize your business's URL and your position and ad on Google, click through and have a read. They're much more likely now to engage with this AI overview. And you'll notice on Google, there's a little button that allows the customer to switch into AI mode really easily. And at that point, you get Google shopping results, you get all of the citation websites pulling through to the customer's view of the results page. Ultimately, if you don't structure your data on the website, and this is a little bit techie and technical, but I'm going to give you a few of the pointers for how you can kind of get on top of this quite quickly. But ultimately, if you don't do that and you just trust that the AI is going to be able to ingest the data from your website and actually show that to the customer. It won't. The prevailing theory, I guess, that we see is that websites and businesses that structure their product data, their schema, and other bits and pieces, they are being cited by these AI overviews consistently. They're getting the traffic, they're getting the sales, but other businesses that are maybe still optimizing for a more traditional SEO world, they're struggling to get the AI model to pick up on their products, their offers, or just information around their business. It's ultimately shifting the mindset from click-through rates to conversion at first glance. So what we really want is for the customer to be able to ask all of the questions that they want to ask in whatever search, I guess, whether it's Google, whether it's Bing, whether it's Amazon, or some of the other marketplaces that you might sell on. Ultimately, the user is trying to get to that point of conversion as quickly as possible. They're conversing with the AI for it to make recommendations, for it to almost pull back FAQ about the product and answer any questions that the customer might have. And it's just shortening that period of time dramatically from the first interaction with the brand to the point of sale. All of the research phase is now happening much faster. There has been a lot of noise in the industry around how this is affecting editorial websites, because ultimately the AI is citing those editorial websites, but the customers aren't going to visit them. They're just getting the answer there and then straight in Google search, for example. So it's massively expanding it out. It's no longer just Google. There are so many different places now that customers can search for your products, for your offers, for your promotions over Black Friday. We're focusing on Google a little bit because it's still one of the biggest players, but you will also find that customers are now looking to solutions like TikTok, essentially as a marketplace, as a search engine. They're still massively looking at Amazon, and it has launched its own AI model to be able to help customers navigate the Amazon department. But we still then have the advent of these AI assistants, whether it's chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. There is another level to that, which is agentic AI. Customers actually now using AI to go out and physically conduct the purchase on their behalf, whether that's your grocery shopping or whether it's a new outfit that you want. The AI will understand what your sizing is, what your color, what your style, and it'll go out and it'll purchase those products. And whilst that side of things is still an emerging technology, that will get much bigger as time goes on. But right now, customers are utilizing the large language models like ChatGPT. They're going on, they're having these conversations, and it's becoming a huge part of a lot of the search engines. I'm not actually aware of a search engine that doesn't have a form of AI built into it now, except for maybe some of the privacy orientated search engines, but certainly none of the mainstream. And then equally, there's the local search side of things as well. So Google Maps, whether it's customers asking for what is nearby, and depending on what type of business you are, whether you've got bricks and mortar stores, again, all of this is feeding into how do I make sure my business is picked up in all of these different search engines and that I'm presented my data rather than one of my competitors. The biggest challenge that I see clients having on this is the consistency of the data. The simple analogy would be that usually the website is well optimized, whether it's the product data, category descriptions, all of the usual traditional SEO pieces. But what we then see is that it's not then optimized for AI, it's not optimized for Amazon, it's not optimized for TikTok. And so when the AI model or even just the customer is navigating between these different search areas, they're getting very, very different results from the same product from the same company. And so it's becoming a lot more about this consistency right across the board. And we know that customer trust is built from years of kind of marketing 101. The more consistent the journey, the more trust that the customer is going to have. It's the same view from the AI models as well, which is if they go to your Amazon and it's a completely different product description, or there's no product description, then it's not going to provide the link to your product as efficiently as if it was finding the same results across all of these different areas. And for context, a lot of these AI models will utilize data from TikTok, from Amazon, from Reddit, from Google, from your own website, your own blog, all of these different areas. So it's quite a big landscape of things that need to be optimized. But ultimately, it's trying to treat every one of these platforms the same, which I guess leads into the action plan. So a very complicated shift in the market. A lot of people are still getting their head around how this is going to affect them going forward. But there are some really straightforward tactics that you can implement right now to be able to start getting your product featured in these engines. And it's pretty quick once you implement it that you'll start seeing results coming through to Google Analytics or any of the other tools that you might be using to track not just search activity, but also how often you're being featured in AI results. There are lots of great tools out there to track that. These tactics can produce quite a big response very quickly, so it's not too late to start implementing them. The big one is schema. This is quite technical. If there's anybody technical in the audience, then you might be aware of what it is. But otherwise, this is a job for your technical SEO team or your technical team to make sure that the language that's hidden behind the website is optimized in such a way that the models can actually read it correctly. And this, I guess, word that we use, which is schema, it's been around for a lot of years, but there are now schemas that are designed explicitly to tell an AI model that this is a product, that this is a store location, that this is an FAQ, that this is a review. And some of them have been around for a long time. Some of them are quite new. For example, if you use Gemini a lot on the go on your phone, it will read out the results rather than kind of the text-based answer. You can include schema on the website to help something like Gemini be able to read and interpret the data on your product pages much more efficiently. A really simple example, which you'll see on the screen right now, is on the left is the view from the AI model if you don't use schema, and the view on the right is if you do use schema. So you can see there that the use of schema allows the AI to see a different product title that is optimized for that AI model. It allows you to put in the price, whether it's in stock, what the review score is, and even a different description that might be a little bit more tailored towards the AI model. Because ultimately, the way that we need to write content for Black Friday, or in fact any time of the year, it needs to be different, whether it's an AI model or whether it's a human, and we don't always want the two to be interchangeable. What we do see that is what when schema is used, the click-through rates that we see coming through from the AI models are significantly higher. Again, this is just because the model is able to ingest and understand the data from your website so much more easily. And when users are asking quite complex questions like, does this product do X? If the model can quickly jump to your website, jump to the product page, jump to the FAQ, and see that it is structured like an FAQ and get the answer there and then it will return your business as an option within that result. If it lands on your website and it can't read the data very easily, then it'll move on very, very quickly to the next option. If anyone uses the AI models quite a bit like ChatGPT, you'll often see that it's jumping through hundreds of websites to get the answers that you need for the response that it's going to give. And a little bit more on this kind of topic of write it for the AI, not just for the human. This is kind of a really simple example, but AI will get very confused by flowery text, but a human will actually engage with that quite well. So you can see the two different options there. On the left, we've got something that's written more from a traditional content writing perspective. Immerse yourself in a revolutionary cleaning experience. It's going to draw the attention of the human, but the AI is just looking for answers to the queries that its users are asking it. So having different answers within the schema is going to be able to help get that product featured when users are asking things like, is it easy to clean? Do all of the components come apart? Are the blades removable for safe hand washing? These are the types of questions that users are now going to be asking about your products or just the category of product. And the text needs to use these schema options to be able to show what the AI needs whilst the website shows what the user needs. I guess a really simple way of looking at the structure of the content, it's making sure, first of all, that you actually have the FAQs. If you don't have FAQs on the products, definitely prioritize getting those on there. And you can see it's just really simple question. Try and think of the questions that your users are going to be asking about your products. Reddit is a really, really good place to start if you're not sure what customers are asking. For example, we have a client in the running space, so we'll have a look at all of the subreddits around running, see what types of questions users are asking, check to see whether they're actually asking anything and citing the client's name in there, particularly if you're a brand, but then transfer that into FAQ that can be put onto the product page, structure it with the right schema. Again, the tech team can help with that, or the SEO team, and make sure that it's all there on the product page for the AI model to be able to grab that very, very quickly. And again, because 60% of all Google search results are resulting in the user getting the answer from that AI model and never actually clicking through to a website, it's not a small number that we're talking about here. It's the overwhelming majority of search results now rely on getting this data into those models and getting it presented to the user. Equally, if you're on marketplaces, don't think of them as a disconnected unit. So again, the AI models, the search results will find your product on Amazon if it's on there, and it will compare to what it sees on the website. It will compare to what it sees on social media and the knowledge graph and everything else that's going on in the background. It's pulling in data from all of these different sources. The biggest signals that it looks for on marketplaces are the velocity of reviews. So how many recent positive reviews has that product had? And then ultimately, what is the shipping speed that's available? So on Amazon, because you've got, I guess, A+ content if you are the brand, or if you're not the brand, you're just one of the sellers of the product. So you can't control the actual content too much on there. And ultimately, you'll be optimizing your Amazon content or eBay content for those algorithms. You can still utilize that to be able to power the organic discovery of your product. So making sure that you are getting those reviews on Amazon, making sure that you do cite the shipping speed and that it's as quick as possible, because a lot of users will be asking questions like, can I get this product by the weekend? Can I get it before the Christmas cutoff? Can I get it before the Black Friday sale ends? And the AI will be looking for all of these different answers across the landscape of wherever you sell.